Hello, everyone. Let's see. Do we want to wait for everyone? Because everybody that is spiritually inclined is always late. It's true. I'll give them another couple of minutes, and then we can start. All right. So does anybody want to say anything before we start?
Hello.
Hey, Corey.
How you doing, man?
Perfect.
Greetings from Australia.
Greetings from Oklahoma.
What time do you
Greetings
have
to
now,
everyone.
Corey? Like it's
Pardon
mostly
me?
people from the States, right? So what time is it in Australia?
It's 1:30 a.m. here.
Oof. Yeah.
I woke up at midnight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is it. This is, I think the group went a little bit smaller. Two people postponed their process for next time. So we're about 10, 11. And sometimes in the first time people forget, or they forget the time zone difference and stuff. So we can just start. I'll congratulate you guys. What you're doing is quite amazing. I don't want you to put too much anticipation towards what's going to happen with your initiation and the life after, because I know that usually when we put too much anticipation on something, then we also compare, the result, the end result, with what we expected it to be, and usually it's not exactly the same as we wanted it to be. It's really, really different most of the time, because we have that expectation. But what I do want to tell you guys is that this type of process, whether if you are going to continue with a breatharian lifestyle or you're not going to continue with a breatharian lifestyle, by itself is quite incredible and quite amazing and quite profound and extreme and different. Now, it can be easy if you want it to be, and it can also be hard if you want it to be. If you expect it to be hard, if your belief is that it should be hard to be attained, like I had when I did my initiation, then it will be hard. I did 21 days in Gaza Strip in the wintertime in a tent by myself in silence with my guide guiding me 10 minutes a day on the phone. That's hard. That's physically hard. But the mental part is very, very important as well. Where is my mind at? Now, I know most of you are doing this from home. Our recommendations were to stay away from family and friends and pets and your phone and Netflix and stuff like that, because you do want to have a lot of time by yourself. I call it boredom time, and I used to call it boredom time because I thought, oh shit, what should I do? What should I do? Until at one point, boredom time became meditation time without meditating. Like that you just step into a now moment, a very, very long now moment of doing absolutely nothing. And that's the time that the mind is quiet enough to embrace new ideas, new concepts, new fun facts about your life, and the high appreciation. And an appreciation is usually what we get when we get into this high vibration. And you're gonna hear me talk quite a lot about high vibration, what it means to be in a high vibration. And there's so many different modalities to get there, and you all kind of know how to get there because you've been there for different times in your life, But the fact is that you couldn't hold on to it for enough time to be constant, or a perpetual state of happiness, which is called joy. When you see the Dalai Lama, if you've ever been in front of him, like I have a few times, or seen his lecture, then you see a joyful person. You think that he's like a child, and you think that he's always been like that, but it's a lot of hard work to get into this high vibration. And it usually requires us to become a little bit more self-aware. And self-aware, it means I'm aware of my thoughts, and I'm aware of the way that I feel. It doesn't mean that I'm striving for perfectness or to be perfect, because it's a journey. It doesn't have to be a hard journey, but I just ask myself all the time, why am I thinking the way that I think? Why did I say what I said? What is that? What happened to me before that made me have this belief? Did it come to me from my parents? Did it come to me from the TV? Did it come from me from personal expectations? And so every time, for example, you judge yourself, or every time you judge somebody else, ask yourself, where did it come from? It doesn't mean that you have to judge yourself judging, because that's the hardest part. But it's sort of like a conundrum that you're trying to figure out. It's like an end of a rope that you're putting on to see what's going to come, what type of package is on the other side of the rope. And then slowly, when you continue doing this, this shadow work, it's called, then you're bringing into the front the things that you were not aware of. Now, during this type of process, this thing is it's 10 times stronger. So if you're reading a book, you're going to dive into that book, okay? And if you're doing this type of shadow work, then a lot of things are going to come up to the surface. It doesn't mean that they have to be confronted, but they want to be recognized. A part of you wishes to be recognized, okay? It can be the part of you that is not connected to the inner child enough. So that means that you're taking life very seriously, and you're not having enough fun, and you stopped dreaming a long time ago. You stop using your imagination like children do. And also you stop trusting people, because children trust. And then one point, that trust is broken, and you never go back into that state that you trust everyone. It can be that you haven't gone through a process of forgiveness with an ex-lover, with your parents, with yourself, which is something that we focus on some of the days during the process itself. So all these things are kind of like the things that we want to do in order to get into the high vibration. Now, becoming pranic or becoming a breatharian it's all a part of that high vibration, because high vibration keeps us in the pranic state, because it's hard for us to escape from our emotion. It's really easy for us to ground ourselves through food, comforting food, pizzas and toasts, and you, like, if you had a really, really bad day, nobody goes and has a banana, okay? It's not like that. They usually go for the cake, for the cookie. It's comforting food, and now you're becoming more aware of it. And then you can make a choice. You can say, okay, you know something? I did have a very long day, and I am very, very frustrated. And it's not my habit to have I don't know, chocolate and bad stuff that I know that are not good for me. But today I will make an exception. It's okay, and I accept it. So then you won't have to have a big piece of cake, because you'll embrace the decision. You'll be okay with it. You'll be conscious free. But because most of us don't do that, and most people feel bad and guilty, and they guilt each other to eating with them the guilty things. For example, you go out to a restaurant, oh, we already went out, let's have a big dessert, and if we're going to do it, let's do it the proper way anyway, and stuff like it. All these excuses, or it's the weekend, and oh, it's the weekend, we have to celebrate, we work all week, in order for us to rest. So ask yourself, what are my good hobbies, habits? What are my bad habits? And become more aware of them. So sometimes we say yes, and sometimes we say no. For example, in the raw food week that you just had, most of you, I hope, you probably cheated a couple of times. And some of you didn't cheat at all. And when you cheated, you felt bad about it. But then again, in the preparation, I told you that it's okay to cheat a little bit. So you won't get into that cycle, that guilt thing, that there's a rule that I had to break again, and why can't I be a little bit more determined with myself? And these are like the mind games that we have. As a breatharian, they multiply, because right now we're all kind of weird anyway. We're the expanders, we're the ones that test ourselves, test our limitation. We're the ones that talk about UFOs and a new world, and and conundrums and other stuff that most people don't want to talk about really. And now we're surrounded by people that are very like-minded like us. And a lot of us are becoming introverted because we don't feel like we belong that much. Honestly, I think that it's about a soul incarnation thing that, you know, people that become breatharian, they have a soul calling towards what they used to be, which is probably a different species that wasn't energy based in this way. It was more light energy based and high vibration energy based. And that's why a lot of us don't feel like we belong here on Earth anyway, because we came here to help, pretty much, to keep the light. And that's why we're attracted to these type of voyages. We're attracted to me as a guide. We're attracted to alien conspiracies and stuff like that. We know that we've been lied to quite a lot. So, and now you're taking this journey to the very, very next step, which means I am confronting the idea that I'm made of energy and that my consciousness is more powerful than my physical body, like I've seen other people do. And this is a very big step. Sometimes it's hard. For some people, you can do the leap just like that. For others, we have a process. And this is why it's not called a workshop. It is called a process, because there is a beginning in the 3D world, there's a during, there's an end, and then there's a new beginning of adaptation, okay, or integration, which we touch during the process itself. So what happens is that we need to be convinced. There's many ways to convince ourselves. Our mind is built out of one part that is logic, and one part that is more abstract, spiritual, intuitive, you know, and the two parts need to be convinced and they need to work together. Just like when a storyteller tells the story, he tells the logic of the story, but then he also touches the heart of the story. And this is why we remember stories so well. So for example, when I'm going to tell you that you guys are going to drive fast for 4 consecutive days, then for some of you, it sounds impossible in the beginning. And but then I'll tell you, you know something, imagine that your body is 70% water, and every day your body doesn't use more than a liter of water. That's like a quarter of a gallon. So why, after 3 days, according to science, will you die? Where does all the water that the body already has and retains, why doesn't the body just use that again? You know, take a little bit from the muscle, take a little bit from the stomach, take a little bit from the cells, and use that water to survive. And this is actually one of the things that happens. Now, it's very logical to understand it this way. And I can also tell you that most of the water that the body uses is to clean out the food that people ingest. This is why when you have something like very heavy, like bread or pizza or something like you know, heavy substances, steak or meat, you have to have a lot of water afterwards. You really want a lot of water because your stomach needs that. Now, when you stop eating, if a couple of days, a couple of weeks, it doesn't really matter. You know, you get that pretty soon. You don't need that much water like you did before. So water is used in 3 systems, right? The digestive system, when you talk, so your mouth is always wet. Otherwise, you'll get that sensation, okay? And the body will not give you water if it doesn't have any water. So you'll have a dry throat probably for a couple of days. And for sweating. So that means that when you're too hot, then the body creates or takes out a little bit more water in order for the wind to cool you down, okay? Because we're not snakes and we have hot bodies. So when you don't sweat that much and your body has adapted to sweating very, very little, like most breatharians, and when you don't eat that much because your body doesn't require that much, then you don't need that much water as well. Okay, the liquids that do come in can come in from an occasional juice, or if you have a fruit and stuff like that, that's very, very light. Now, I don't want you guys, again, to have expectations towards breatharian level 4. Okay, I'll just repeat for those of you that are not aware of the breatharian levels. So a level 1 is someone that practices an occasional fast, you know, plays around with it a day here, a day there. They're not always aware that this lifestyle even exists, but they're just attracted to light, to be very, very light. They don't understand why. And the second one is already those that are doing an occasional resets and detoxes, multi-day ones. And they broke that cycle, of 3 meals a day. And still they think that it's kind of weird. They think that they have to eat, but they do those very, very long breaks. And then level 3s are people who went through a proper initiation, like you guys are going through. And what happens during the initiation is that after a few days of dry fasting, plus these exercises, plus understanding that energy is from everywhere, pretty much. It's not just the breath, it's the thought about it. It's being very, very connected to something. If you're around nature, then it's easy to imagine that it's the trees itself, it's bushes itself, it's grounding, walking barefoot, or being in the sun like sun gazers. But eventually you understand that the consciousness creates that energy from being, from enjoying being in the center. So level 3s are like me, you play around with it quite a lot, you eat very, very little, you don't really get hungry, you can't get big, like even if I practice, do, a lot of gym and stuff like that, can't really get big. I kind of have the same weight for the last 10 years, which is, as long as I've been practicing this. In the beginning, I was very extreme. For the first year, I didn't eat at all. I just had one chocolate cake for my birthday, and that was amazing. And then when I did come back to it, for the reasons with me were mostly social, which is something that you'll discover that is a little bit more difficult than what you believe. Even if my family supports it, you get kind of bored, being a Westerner. And I was single, so when I dated girls, they didn't like the fact that, I eat less than they do. And I didn't get invited to many places because it was too weird. And I lost a couple of friends on the way. And the second reason that most people have difficulties is the mind games. Am I doing it right? Am I losing too much weight? When am I going to get my strength back? All these mind games, and it's not just 30 seconds that I'm explaining this to you, it's months of mind games that you are, you're putting yourself into an illusion that it doesn't work, that it does work. You're asking yourself, how is it possible? So I'll tell you that level 3s, you can say maybe removed 70–80% of their caloric intake, even more. Leslie, for example, that you meet in an hour or so, she even took out 95%. So she has like a little bit of broth and stuff like that. Maybe she eats occasionally. But level 4s are very, very, very uncommon. Level 4s are the ones that don't eat and they don't drink at all. And that's a different kind of jump. Now, if you're aiming for that, then let me tell you that the right path is through this initiation. You will become a level 3. You will occasionally drink. And after a couple of months, when you see that the body stopped losing weight and you have your energy back and you continue exercises in whatever it is that you did before, and you feel like you're in balance, then you can slowly reduce whatever it is that your habit is going to be then. If it's if it's water, if it's hot cocoa, if it's coffee, you will reduce it until you have almost no caloric intake whatsoever, and you will take it to the next level. Now, when I wanted to become a level 4, it was because of my spiritual ego. I realized that it's possible, and I told myself, if somebody else can do it, then God damn it, Ray can do it as well. But then I asked, I used to bring a channeler to some of the workshops. And I asked him, can I become a breatharian level 4, because it sounds it sounds amazing. But the ones that I knew, I only knew 2, they seemed so much, their body changed. They looked like they're very, very fragile and like I hate to say it, but they looked like they're angels that had cancer, pretty much. So gentle, and some of them lost a few teeth on the way and they lost some hair, but they talked like very beautifully and very, very so connected to their feminine side that I was like, wow. And I'm so masculine in my nature. I asked myself, can I really do that? And the channeler said, you can, but it's not your destiny. And I felt very, very aligned with this message because I realized that my ego wanted to do it and not myself. And when the ego wants to do something, it's usually not aligned with who you're supposed to be, right? It's not who we're supposed to be. So I let that, expectation go, that dream go, and I felt quite comfortable with it. But I know that a lot of people before the initiation, what they want to do is become that. So I'll let you know that people that are living in the Western world, people that have jobs, families, responsibilities, money, pressure of any type, will have a very difficult time becoming one of those level 4s. Okay, the reason is that anything disaligns you from your high vibration. So you've probably heard of Hindus that go up into the mountains and meditate for a year in a cave. That's the style that we're talking about. It will be extremely difficult for someone that has a Western lifestyle to do that. But what I teach you guys is to be in balance, right? So we have our life, we have our kids, we have our family, we have, I don't know, a partner, we have our habits, we have our job, we have the things that we do with our body, you know, sport-wise and stuff like that. We want to preserve those things, and yet we want to explore and experience something that is deeper. Now, I can tell you that the first year that I was a breatharian, it was the most difficult one and was the most extreme one, not only because of the adaptation, but because when you get into a high vibration, the masculine part of the self meets the feminine part of the self. And without generalization, the masculine part is the more deterministic, logic, influence. The feminine side is the more loving, caring, patient side. And when the two parts find themselves, then you don't seek that much unity outside of yourself. So that means, for example, that, you know, if you needed to have more sexual relations, then for a part, you won't be attracted to that because that's a part of you that's seeking unity. Okay, especially if you're doing it because you want to get off and not to make love, which is something a little bit different. And the same part of you will not seek that much humanity outside of yourself. So, for example, for a part, you will want to be more by yourself and less with other people, because you will feel that the silence that has grown within you is that connection to the divine one within. Okay, and this is something that you guys can explore during the initiation itself. Now, this does bounce back eventually, but it's a time that you spend with yourself, especially in that high vibration, and then you can actually relate to how monks feel in the silence and with simplicity and with minimalization. And you will start clearing out dead relationships and things that take away your energy. And you will start asking yourself the bigger questions, and life changes. Some people change even their job, or, you know, change relationships and stuff like that that are quite big in their life. So I'm not saying that you will. If you feel comfortable where you are, it's quite simple. Some people stay in a dead marriage for 20 years just because of the kids. But when you want to get into a very, very high vibration, and on a day-to-day basis, you feel like something is off, because, you know, our guidance and our intuition clearly speaks to us when we feel disoriented. So when I come and meet somebody new, and I feel like something is up, and I'm not very particular, I can get along with everyone. You know, I can find a topic of conversation with everyone, including the religious people here, and including people who are just talking about, you know, their money and their job and stuff like that. But you feel that thing that is off, and you're not listening to it because you're not listening to your intuition, that will lower your vibration. That is somebody that is consuming your energy right now through your thoughts, you know. And you will become more and more aware of these things, because you are aware of them now a little bit, because you end your day and you feel a little bit tired, but you haven't really analyzed it and become aware of what happened during the day that made you tired, because you should have all the energy in the world, you know. So you become more aware of that, and then you start getting rid of things. For men, for example, then you start practicing more tantric sex, because you understand that the light that you guys are spraying all over the place has a lot of energy. It is the energy of creation. It has the energy to create a baby. And therefore, the Old Testament also says, you should not spray it everywhere. You should always preserve it in some way. And you will learn how to walk in a way that, you know, you'll be lighter a little bit. So suddenly walking upstairs and you have less weight on you because you lost all the weight that your body doesn't really need anymore. And a lot of things start to change when you become more aware of it. And this is for the after. Because this is just the first day, then we'll talk about the preparation and the things that you guys need to do during the process itself. As you probably noticed, I don't know if Grace hasn't shared the document with you yet. There's a document that you're going to have, every day. You're going to see the schedule for the day. You're going to have the links to the meditations. You're going to have the link to meetings or recordings that you might have missed. You're going to have some homework. If in a particular day, I will tell you, okay, today you got to watch this video, then today, this is the video that you're going to have the link there through the day itself. And everything will become very, very clear through the document itself. So there's 3 parts of the process. This is the initial part. And usually because we're still in the beta, like the beta wave, brain waves, we come from work and we come from home and we have all these thoughts and all these expectations and we're kind of excited and a little bit fearful and maybe we wanted to do this face to face, but now we're doing it by ourselves and maybe somebody didn't support us and they said we're kind of crazy in what we're doing and all these things, all these thoughts. That's the first phase. And I usually use that to have manifestation workshops and workshops where we talk a little bit more and I explain a little bit more and give you some of the knowledge that I've been given and transferred on and stuff like that. Some exercises, some breathing techniques, sure. And then the second phase is more like the stage of being, and that's the dry fast. There's less thinking. Sometimes the body is a little bit tired, so you're withdrawn. You don't sleep that much. There's a lot going on in your mind. You feel like you have more like of the energy of creation, but your body doesn't want to get involved with that. Like your body is kind of like laid back. And it's really individual. Like we've noticed that people that are in better shape, sometimes people that are much younger, they have a little bit more energy. And people who are not, loving their body that much, then sometimes they have a little bit more difficulty. And it has to do usually with the toxin buildup, because it's not enough to do, an annual detox, but the liver needs to be cleansed. And it's kind of like, we haven't cleaned our house for 50 years. And then one day we're trying to clean every corner of our house at once. And the amazing thing about the body is that all it wants is for you to leave it alone. And it will start doing that by itself. That's how beautiful it is. And that's what we're doing. We're like, the preparation of the raw food was to make it lighter for the body, for the digestive system. And now you're eating today only fruits, and tomorrow is going to be only juice. And the next day is going to be water. And then we're going into the dry fast. Now, the dry fast varies. The minimum you should do is 3.5 days. And then we're going to have, a water ceremony. We're going to talk about it. The minimum is 3.5 days. And we did 7 days, in the original process. You probably saw me on TV do 8 days. I also did 10 days. And we kind of play around with it. But the reason that the minimum is 3.5 days, because this is the way that it was dictated originally by the process that Jaz Mohin wrote 30 years ago when it was brought into the Western life. And something happens during the night of the 72nd hour, especially because you have that intention to do the full dry fast. Now, those of you that want to go further, I would put the intention of how much you want to go further before you start the fast. You can change your mind during, no problem. But once you set that intention, you see that number 5, 6, 4, whatever, then you will see that you kind of tune yourself into that direction. Is it better in any way? Yes, the detox continues a little bit deeper. The detox continues from the beginning of the raw food, yeah, but the dry fast, every 1 day of dry fast is equal to 3 days of water fasting. So imagine, instead of doing 2 weeks of water, you can do 4 or 5 days of dry, and that's it. And it's deeper. It's different. Okay, there's so many different. It's very advanced to understand the biological processes that your body goes through a fast. You can watch some of my YouTube videos about it. There's one for people that are doing water fast, but the dry fast is the ultimate. And therefore you will get the best out of it. Now, some of you have brought books with you. Some of you have brought magazines. Some of you have, downloaded podcasts or things that you want to listen to. That's great. do all of that, but don't start watching TV or videos or things that will distract you to pass time. Imagine that you are really stranded on a deserted island and you're doing this by yourself. The idea here is not to pass time, but it's also not to suffer. The idea here is that when you go through the process, then you don't want to, you have all these little things that want to come up to be recognized and to be healed, ideas, thoughts, and stuff like that. When you distract yourself trying to pass the time to finish, then you're kind of forgetting the whole point. The whole point is to be in the day, in the moment. And every day is going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be different. Some days you're going to have a lot of energy, a lot of ideas. You started, I don't know, drawing, and you started new habits, and you went on a 10-mile hike, and you, I don't know, met a bear. And other days you're like, oh, I'm so tired, and I just want to lay in bed all day and do that. Just do that. Just listen to your body and do whatever it's asking. So it's going to be just like a roller coaster all the time. And you're going to hear in the different sharing circles that some people are having a hard time, some people are having an easier time, some people just want to finish with it. And some people are saying, you know something, this is much easier than what I thought it's going to be. I want to continue even more. Don't get affected by that. It will be your decision eventually. And you are the ones there, you can drink and you can eat whenever you want. You're the ones that have chosen to do this initiation. I'm just showing you a path, I'm showing you a door. I'm telling you what is the recommended way of doing it, as my 1,000 students before you have done it. And we know quite a lot of where the points are to be aware of, Oh, it's just a little sip of water. Oh, something, I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to just wash my face and just take a little bit of water inside my mouth and oh, I swallowed it. Oh shit, And this happens quite a lot. People forget, they forget. And then you start dreaming about water because you're so not used to not drinking water your whole life, every day, coffee, tea, water, sodas, and stuff like that. Suddenly it's been taken away from you. And then there's the little rebel that we all have inside of us. That little rebel that says, oh shit, there's a rule, I have to break it. Who is going to tell me what I can and cannot do? The almighty Ray is going to tell me what I can and cannot do? Hell no. I didn't listen to my mom. I didn't listen to my dad. I didn't listen to my teacher. I'm not going to listen to this as well. So I'll tell you that it is a guideline and a recommendation, and you choose what you want to do. But then when something happens and you fail to meet your expectations, don't come talking to me. Talk to the inner rebel that is there, and he hates rules. So choose to bend the rules a little bit for 1 week, 1.5 weeks. Take 2 steps back from your whole universe in order to feel something different, in order to do something that you've never done in your life. Never. And you will probably never do it again. I have 5% of repeaters. That's it. People that want to come back to do the process again, to reset themselves. We call it in the Breatharian, lexicon. But those 2, I don't want them to come. I want them to be the masters after this initiation. This initiation brings you to a higher, heightened awareness. I don't have mastery of Breatharian initiation. I'm not here to sell anything. I want you to experience this and then become the master in everything. About your thoughts, master over your body, your decision-making processes. I want you to make the right decisions in your life. Like, really notice this. I don't have a lot of repeaters for this reason. Now, I'll bring you back to level 3s. You become a level 3 when you finish this, immediately. Then there's about 6 weeks that we recommend that you don't eat any physical food, that you just stay on liquids, stay on some juice, stay on some water. We're going to give you some guidelines for how much is too much, how much is, there's no too little really. You're going to fast at least once a week for 24 hours, dry fast. It will be easier when you're doing it just once a week, but your body will already be clean, so it will be much easier for you to do that. And these are the things for the 3rd part. So remember the first part, still beta waves, adaptation. Second part, dry fasting, more like the spiritual connection. And then the 3rd part, we're going to start talking about, okay, what did I get out of this? Like the dry fast is finished, but still we have 3 days of integration, a little bit of more workshops, some more, sharing circles, some more ideas and things for you to kind of blend into your day-to-day life, because I don't want this to just be a workshop for you. I want this to be a lifestyle. It doesn't matter for me if you've taken it all the way. What matters to me is if you've changed, even a little bit. If your perception about food has changed. And most of you are never going to feel hungry again. Ever. The sensation of hunger is something that you're going to overcome because you're going to change your mindset about it. Now, how many with a raise of hand already feel that you don't feel that hungry as much? Just by signing up to this. See? And what happened? You just put your intention and you acted upon it. You acted upon it. It wasn't like you just watched, this Ray guy had a video on YouTube. YouTube recommended it to me, or you heard about breatharianism and you kind of invested it a little bit. No, you actually signed up for something. You paid for something. You exchanged energy and you put an intention on doing this. And your body repays you by saying, look at this. Things are different now. You're not going to have that 3 meals a day cycle anymore. You don't have to. Breakfast is no longer the most important meal of the day. You don't have to drink half a gallon of water anymore. It doesn't work this way. The mind works by placebo, okay? When you change your belief about it, your body responds to the new belief. So if you think different about being tired, if you think different about how many hours do you need to sleep at night, if you think different about, do I really need to take this medication, or do I really need to take this supplement that everybody told me that I have to take and it's going to help me and stuff like that, the mind shifts the way that the body responds. Now, if you want to think about an apple as being part material, and that material really comes into the body and becomes, breaks down in the stomach and then becomes the future cells. But another part of that apple is actually energetic. And what it does, it just touches and it triggers different systems within the body. How much of the apple do you think you actually eat and take into new cells? Not a lot. You poop most of it out eventually. The body preserves just a little bit. So how much do you actually need? And the answer is with children. Because you see that children eat very, very little. It's true that their body is very small, but they're much more in the moment. They have a higher vibration. They're less distracted, by the future thoughts and what's going to happen to me in the future and about money, and they're less distracted about the past. They're just in the now. And that's why they don't want to eat that much. They're just like in the now. They're very excited about everything. When they become an astronaut, they are the astronaut. And we don't have that anymore. But when you have a body as clean energetically, the system itself, no toxins, no bad negative thoughts and stuff like that, then when the body is very efficient, then the body requires very, very little. How much is very little? Caloric restriction, right? You probably heard the term. Caloric restriction is the only scientific proven method to extend human life. The only one. So what people do is they say, okay, you should eat 3,000 calories a day for your weight and height. Okay, you eat 2,000, you deficit supposedly. And now what the body does with the rest of the time, because it's supposedly not getting enough energy from the outside, it uses that time to clean itself. So because the body is more efficient, proficient in the way that it works now, then there's less disease, there's less toxin buildup, and then the person can actually extend their life. And then the person sleeps less, because during the first cycle of the sleep, the heavy sleep cycle, the body regenerates the cells. And then the body has more of the different type of cells that can use to, how do you call those in English? Stem cells. The body generates more stem cells when you're fasting, and it can use that to repair the broken tissues as well. There's the less free radicals, and if there are free radicals, then they are dealt with by the white cells easier and faster. There's more grounding. So all these things happen scientifically because of caloric restriction. So the question we should ask ourselves is first, how is this possible? Because what they're saying is that each person should eat this amount. So I'm like 6'4", I should have like 3K calories a day. What happens if I continue to eat 2,000? Am I going to eventually disappear? So yes, I lose weight, I lose weight, I lose weight, supposedly. Am I going to disappear? No, the body adapts. If I eat 4,000, so yes, in the beginning, I add more weight, I create more waste, but my body is going to adapt to that as well? Yes, I will not continue to get fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter in the same pace. I will have to eat significantly more to gain even more weight. This is why we see, the people that are training, lifting weights, they eat more and more and more and more and more. When they stop eating, they have a problem because they're so used to eating that much that they just become fat. So if I reduce and reduce and reduce, to how much can I actually reduce? And that is the big question. And without introducing, breatharianism into it, when I take under consideration that I can reduce significantly, and then I remove the fact that the digestive system itself takes 25% of the energy of the body, so to digest, I have to eat, and then I give back 25% of the energy that I got in order to create the digestion. But the breatharian usually just drinks, or usually it's just things that are lighter. Some people drink occasionally smoothies and stuff like that. It's very easy to digest. So also I'm not using that. And then when I think that my eyes and my brain are using a lot of energy as well, but I'm more in the moment. And when I'm more in the moment, my brain doesn't work that much because 99% of the thoughts are repetitive thoughts about things that I'm planning, about things that I've failed doing, about troubles that I have. But right now, I have just one thing in front of me. I have you guys. I don't think about what's going to happen. I'm not going to think about what happened, I'm not thinking about when am I going to finish talking, stuff like that, because we're in the moment. So again, less energy. And when we add all that up numerically, statistically, mathematically, then we see suddenly that we have so much more energy than what we thought that we're going to have, because actually less is more. I eat less and I have more energy because my digestive system doesn't work that much, which is the heaviest system. So just add a little bit more of these facts to the way that you perceive food and energy. And if we're going to talk about food, then you should know that, science says that a few weeks without food and you die, but without water, just 3 days. What about oxygen? If we're talking about fuel, then oxygen is the number one, because without oxygen, a few minutes and the brain dies. Right? There was a world record, 25 minutes. This guy said, I saw an interview with him, those people that they put them in a tank and then they just stop breathing. And he says, he shows, there's like a chart. He says, when I get to minute 16, I die. I'm dead. I go beyond the void. And they have to revive me. I don't, when they wake them up, afterwards, and they're like, he says that I'm beyond, like the heart rate is so slow, like nothing actually works, that the brain is like in a deep meditative state. And then they move them out of there. So that's 25 minutes. So that means that the first thing that we need for energy is actually oxygen, breathing. And what happened? Why is it called breatharians? It's because we learned how to breathe. It's that we forgot. And it's funny, but big stomach, if you're very, very obese, then that weighs on your lungs, and then your breath is very shallow. But when you don't have a big stomach and you don't have a lot of mass on you, it's easier for you to deeply breathe. Now, in the beginning, it takes practice, There's a visualization that goes with the breath when you're breathing in through your crown chakra, which we will practice tomorrow. And you visualize that there's energy that is coming into your body. And you know that visualization actually works, because when you visualize health and when you visualize success, then the universe responds to the brain waves that you create. It's actually a combination of the brain waves and the way that you feel about them. If you're excited about them, if it's going to help you in some way, if you're positive about them, if you're not doubtful about them, it's a mixture. We'll talk about that a little bit in the manifestation. So it's about deep breaths, and deep breaths begin by taking it all the way to the lower belly and feeling that it's really expanding, and then letting it all grow, just like the body wants to release it. And if anybody becomes hungry here, 3 deep breaths, slow. There's no, you don't need to be in a rush. You just take, you feel it, keep it inside, let your lungs take the oxygen, and then just let go. And you will see that after 3 big breaths, you have more energy and you're less hungry. And another thing that we need to talk about with hunger, especially in the initiation, is to make the differentiation or to understand that there's a difference between I feel like having, I'm hungry, and I'm actually hungry. So if I'm talking to you guys about, I'll ask you guys, what's your favorite type of ice cream? And do you like cherries on your ice cream? And do you like, like this whipped cream on it? And do some of you like those little, I don't know, sugary, like my daughter likes on the ice cream? And then you feel like having, you just visualized it, it connected with a summer day, and you start to say, oh, wow, look at the sun. It's still summertime. It's just morning. Maybe I'll have myself an ice cream. And then you already taste it in your mouth. So your brain produced that image. That is I feel like having. And I'm hungry is a bodily reaction that says, God damn it, my stomach is going grrr, I'm cranky, I lack energy, okay? And that is the beginning of the feasting habit of the human being. And that means that it will usually go away. It's either that it goes away quickly, it goes away after a few breaths, it goes away after a few hours, but the body is beginning the natural cleansing that it wants to undergo, okay? And the hunger is the sensation that stops it from doing that, because it's not an easy sensation. It's not fun to go through a cleansing, especially in the beginning. And then you realize how deep you needed that, But it's just like when you guys, if you run or if you've exercised and the muscles burn and they hurt quite a lot, and then there's a point that they stop. If you persist, if you continue, it's the same thing with the hunger. You go beyond the hunger, you finish the hunger. It's like being tired, right? You're tired. And then if you don't go to sleep, the body stops telling you that it's tired. And then suddenly you have this cycle that you're awake and you have more energy, okay? Because you went a little bit beyond your comfort zone. And this is something that happens with, and something that I want you guys to play with here as well. It's that hunger sensation. What is hunger for me? Do I have to be hungry? Do I feel like having? Why do I feel like having? Can I get that thing without eating? So can I imagine that I just had that thing and I got fulfilled from it and satisfied from it without having that thing? Because it's like a bandage, right? You eat something and then you're still emotionally unbalanced. So after 10 minutes, you go and you seek something else because it's like a bandage. It's a temporary bandage. It's not real. Almost all food is emotional eating. You just become more and more aware of it. Other things that I want to tell you guys about the process. So I would keep a journal, old-fashioned journal, even though I type, 3 times faster. I'm not a millennial, but I'm the old style of computer programmers. So I type quite quickly. But writing in a journal in a dedicated, like a dedicated notebook or something like that, that's quite fun. Because you have more time and there's a lot of thoughts that wish to be expressed. And there's like something that's called intuitive writing, when you just kind of like say, I don't know what I'm going to write. And I just like start scribbling. In the beginning, it's bullshit. And then suddenly I start writing these amazing things. So I like to do that exercise as well, see what comes out. Sun baths are great. So time with you in the sun. If the sun is too harsh where you are, then no more than 30 minutes. But morning walks, evening walks, spending a little bit more time in nature, grounding yourself. Having showers during the dry fasting time. This is not the Russian style dry fasting. So we are brushing our teeth. We are taking showers. We can do whatever we want. The Vipassana days, there's 2 Vipassana days. We can listen to music, we can read, we don't have to meditate in front of the wall for 8 hours if you've been to India and did the Vipassana there. So it's really, I'm trying to make it as comfortable as possible for you guys. Yeah, the idea here is to spend time with yourself. It's very rare nowadays. In the physical workshop, when I meet my pupils face to face, then we take their phones. We take their phones and we put them in a safe for 10 days. And those that have an issue with it, ask yourself why. Why do I need my phone? I got, I have a business, I have this. Let everybody know you're on vacation. This is the 80s. There's no cell phones and stuff like that. Work it out with yourself. Airplane mode, 20 hours a day, 4 hours a day. You want to listen to music, podcasts, and stuff like that. Stay off the internet. Download whatever it is that you want. Facebook has nothing to offer to you. Instagram has nothing to offer to you. TikTok, if you're young, there's nothing there right now. You're taking 2 steps. You're moving yourself into a cocoon state to become more of a butterfly. And trust me, again, it's a best practice. You can do whatever you want, but just don't detox yourself electronically. You can call it that. Now, if you're sleeping next to someone, please sleep in another room. Your thoughts and the mess that you have in your head and the mess that they have in their head and their energy and their vibration can mix with yours. And this is not the time for that. You don't want to consult them. You want to consult yourself. You can share with them what you're experiencing if they're living in your house, but it's better to spend more time with yourself. Let them know, so you don't turn out to be impolite or something like that. Just let them know the idea of the process is a type of inner silence and spending time away physically from people in order for you to be more connected with yourself. And then because you're more with yourself, you're immediately connected to the divine one within. The divine one within does not work when you talk. The brain cannot move into an alpha state when we are creating words and we're thinking thoughts. And that's why we meditate. And that's why, we have these times that we spend outside and walking and stuff like that. When I learned about this, I wanted to stop talking to everyone. This is why I have a job that I'm a computer programmer, as well as, an influencer and stuff like that. But I get to spend 9 hours in front of the computer, and I love it like I did when I was 15 years old. And this is what grounds me. I miss that job because nobody comes and talks with me. They have no idea who I am. I'm just like one of these people in the office. I have a lot of small talk. Where I live or work, people are very, very normal, superficial, weather conversations. They know about me because they saw me on TV and they know I'm kind of weird in my own way, and they come and ask me for advice. But I can't really go deeper with them beyond the normal issues that they have in their life, which is usually relationship issues. And sometimes they ask me about diets and fasting and stuff like that. But with you guys, we can really, really move forward into the next level for us. And this brings me into spiral dynamics. We're going to talk about spiral dynamics. How many of you are following my channel and have seen like the spiral dynamics video series? I guess it's just a couple. So you're gonna love this. Spiral dynamics is a methodology to understand where human beings or civilizations or families, like entire kind of like its modules are consciously, where they are right now, where they're seeking to be, what the level that they came from, and where the next level is. And we're going to dive into that with a lot of examples, because most people that come to these courses, they're approximately in the same place, So I know where we are, and I know where we're aiming to be, and I know where some of us are stuck. And let me give you for an example, like for where most of us are. We are in a level that's called green. Forget about, the chakras, the chakra colors and stuff like that. Spiral dynamics just randomly picked up the colors. So the level green, for example, is a level that seeks unity in society, sees everyone as equals, sees animals as equals as well, environmental friendly, less materialistic, more open-minded to psychedelics and alternative medicines, maybe. There's so many things that, that the green people are for example, connecting with. So green is more like a circle conversation, more like a win-win solutions and not a win-lose, but not yet win-win-win, which we will discuss. But for example, greens, they are still non-conformably conformable. How do you say that? Conformable. I don't know how you say that. Fix me, someone, English speakers.
Conforming.
What?
Conforming.
Yes. So for example, the clothes that green will wear are the clothes that they expect other greens to wear. So they won't wear whatever it is always just comfortable for them. When they meet, for example, that big festival that you guys have in the desert, the Burning Man. So that's supposed to be radical, and it's supposed to be artistic, and it's supposed to be very individual. But then there's conformity that comes in and says, yes, but this is how we dress here. Or this is where we get naked, and still we do it together. Okay, so the individual is lacking from that type of thinking. And the green also wants to save the world. So that means that the green is still judging the creation of how the world actually came to be. And the green believes that you can teach people in Africa to become green and teach the world and save the world from wars. But there's so much gray area in between. So the green feels guilty because they're not doing enough for the world and for themselves. And we will dive into that, and you will realize a lot of things about yourself. And then we'll talk about the next level and how the next level actually solved the issues that the green experiences. So I can already tell you that the breatharian initiation creates the next level for the greens. And the greens come here to understand more about themselves. And we'll talk about that as well tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll begin, and I'll give you guys some homework and stuff like that. You guys are going to love this. When I started reading it and I started understanding it, and I took like 10 hours lessons, online, and I read the books about it, and I read professors' opinions about it. There's so much in that as well. So much. Sex. Nobody has sex during the process. Not with somebody else and not by yourself. Again, sex is a distraction. Okay? Even if you feel horny, I want you guys to take that energy and use it inside yourself. It's just a distraction. Don't think about it like I'm depriving myself of anything or something like that. Think about it that I'm experiencing something that is different. Okay, I don't need to have anything right now, especially in the dry fasting days. We don't smell that good. The detox comes out of our skin and stuff like that, so we don't really think about it that much. For masculine, there's no blood pressure. Afterwards, do whatever it is that you want. Easy conversations. If you do have someone if you have somebody that is living with you and stuff like that, don't go into deeper and deeper and deeper and solving, the universe's problems or understanding stuff like that. Try to take it easy with yourself. We're going to have these discussions, and here's where we want to bring up, interesting issues or things that you think about or questions that you have and stuff like that. I really want you guys to bond. There's going to be, partners here, and you're going to. I don't know what Grace has in line for you guys, but I know that usually we work with a buddy system. And so we're going to have a lot of exercises together in my workshops as well. Conversations with the outside world, especially I'm going to repeat, all these recommendations about the silent days, the day and a half, but conversations with the outside world, completely permitted. I wouldn't go as far as explaining to them what a breatharian is and what a breatharian initiation is. So if somebody's asking, then you're doing this cool online course with yoga and a detox and an interesting group of people. That's the way that I will describe it. If I would start explaining about something that I don't really know that much about, which you will understand, in the end of the process, then maybe that person will put me down, or maybe they will deprive me of my energy, or maybe they will doubt it and they'll say, no, that doesn't make sense. And oh my God, it's very crazy for you to dry fast for 3 days without a doctor, and all these mind games. So just be aware of that. That I'm talking from experience. Of course, it happens quite a lot. Having a juicer, or if you don't have a juicer and you have a blender, that's also okay. You can take, there's these fibers that you can blend, and then you just squeeze the juice out, and then you'll have the juice. The difference between the juice and the smoothie is the fiber. You don't want the fiber itself. The juice is just the watery part. So tomorrow is the juice day. Yeah, so tomorrow it's just the watery part. It's not like a shake or a smoothie or something like thicker. The idea again is that you're reducing more and more and more and more and more. Preparation for meditations. How many of you have experience with meditations? Okay, so for those of you that don't have experience with meditation, it's quite easy. The Buddhists call it the monkey mind. The monkey mind is the mind that doesn't stop talking. Okay, it's always thinking, it's used to that. Okay, that's the way that we're built. That's the way that when we go out, we think about, I'm driving right now, I'm talking on the phone right now, I'm doing my business right now. And the monkey mind, or in a meditation, what we do is we strive to occupy the body in some way. So the monkey mind can actually relax itself as well. So for example, many people jog, and once you go over a couple of miles, the body is occupied, and then the mind becomes a little bit more quiet. The same thing happens when you're driving. The same thing happens in showers. Many people today say that the best ideas that they have is in the shower. And that's because you have exactly the same routine of how you wash your body and dry your body. So the body is very, very occupied. So usually in meditations, especially in people that begin, the posture itself is not that important, more like what you're doing with your mind. And usually what we do is that it's either that we count breaths, or some people do like this basic mathematical things, like they count up to 10 slowly and then they go back. And some people visualize, so they see the thought, they become aware of the thought. And it's okay to have a thought, but not to engage with it, not to think about why did I have that thought, not to judge myself for having that thought. And I would say the best metaphor is like the waves of the ocean. So the thoughts are the waves, and the waves come and the waves go. And the meditation is that little part between the waves. For example, so now you had a little part between the waves because you were stopping everything and waiting for me to say something. And then a thought came that maybe my internet connection is broken and I'm stuck. So that little wave in between, that was a meditative state. And now in a meditation, what we're trying to do, the thoughts are going to come and they're going to go. What we're trying to do is to expand a little bit upon that part that we had absolutely no thought. For example, I wonder what my next thought is going to be like. And in that part, in that time of expectation, when I'm waiting for my next thought, I am actually type of meditating. Okay, now of course, once you start meditating more than a couple of minutes, then you play around with it, and then time passes a little bit differently, and then you start feeling something that is inside you that you don't know how to explain. For example, when I ask myself the question, who am I really? And I ask myself that question, but let's do it all together. I want you guys to close your eyes and then ask yourself again, who am I really? And there's a slightly different answer when your eyes are closed. Because the first answer, when your eyes are open, and you guys can open your eyes, is the shallow answer. Like when I introduce myself in a party, hi, I'm Ray, I'm 40 years old, I have a couple of kids, this is what I do for a living, But when I close my eyes and I don't see the Maya, I don't see the illusion, then I can get a deeper answer because I cannot form the words for the answer. So the answer has to come from something deep within myself. When I try to form an answer to who am I really, I'm not really getting an answer that is normal. Do you understand? So in a meditation that is long enough, we actually get into those sensations. We don't have to ask the question, but the waves stop being so near each other, and the part between the waves, the silence of the brain, becomes further or bigger or wider or longer. And then we connect to the higher self, to who we are. That's where the place that we get, ideas. This is the place that scientists talk about, this is the place that spiritual people talk about as being our true home or a true nature without the thought, because the thought is related to the mind and to the ego. And that's something that we practice during the process, together and alone, because in that silence that you guys are going to have in between the exercises and the workshops and stuff like that, you have time to be in silence, and that becomes slowly a regular meditative state. And again, the intuition is enhanced. The ideas, the downloads, the connection of something is enhanced in that when you have more of that time by yourself in a meditative state. All right, so we talked about dreaming is going to be kind of weird. I just want you guys to know that if you want to practice vivid dreaming and lucid dreaming, this is a great time, because you're going to sleep a little bit less during the dry fasting days. Some of you that don't that want to finish, or finish the Breatharian initiation, so you can get like your report that you finished it, then sometimes you will want to stay a little bit longer in bed, but you're just going to be fighting it. When you wake up, that means that your body is finished and you can get up and start doing the things that you plan to do during the day. If you're going to stay in bed, sure, you're just gonna, twist to the left, twist to the right, twist to the left, twist to the right, especially in the dry fasting days, Now, something that happened to me during my initiation is that I became artistic. Like something inside of me wanted to create out of the boredom and out of the sticks and stones that I had around. So I asked my caregiver to bring me some glue and some wire, and I started doing all these things. So what we see happens is that people become a little bit more of who they are. I wasn't artistic before that, but I did grow up in a house that supported it quite a lot. And today I make a lot of different types of arts. And each one of you, you're going to be kind of like attracted to something, maybe a new source of knowledge, maybe one of those books that you bought a long time ago and are just sitting on your shelf, and one of them is calling out to you to go and read it. I don't know. Everyone is very, very different. I just want you guys to know that it's an option that something like that will happen. I never thought that I'm going to become more like an artist. Maybe during one of our sessions, I'll share some of my stuff with you. You guys are gonna love it. I do crazy stuff. Okay. Family or special cases, emergencies and stuff like that. We're not in a physical retreat, so I expect you guys to be there in case that there's a family emergencies like that. Just let us know that you're not going to come to one of the sessions. If something happens, then you can talk to Leslie, or you can talk to Grace. Leslie, you haven't met yet. You're going to meet her pretty soon. She supports the process as well. What else? Yes, nobody's going to die. It's very important. If you're afraid of dying, that's okay. Nobody's going to die. Nobody's ever died. When the body goes through the dry fast itself, then usually there's a decline in energy, but not in a way. 3.5 days when you're at home and the weather is normal and there's no disaster or war around you, something like that, there's no need to worry about that. And we're here, we're following you guys. Tell us if there's something that is abnormal. I can already tell you that the heart rate usually pulses quite fast. The blood pressure is usually low. Usually we don't have that much energy starting the second day of the dry fast. And those things are very, very normal symptoms. Very, very normal symptoms. Okay. Some of you are going to, like I said, the detox itself is not very comfortable. The body is getting rid of a lot of stuff like in a bang. It's not like you had a month or 2 months of raw food and the body got used to, this lighter body. So it just comes out in one time. Another thing, if you guys want, if some of you has knowledge or wants to make a workshop and share with the group something, and that's your profession or something that you're really, really good at, just send me or Grace an email, offer what it is, the workshop that we want to offer, and we'll schedule it into the schedule where it's appropriate. I know a lot of us have gifts. A lot of us have, different things that we know, that we've experienced, that we want to share, that are beyond the regular sharing circle, where, nobody's going to go more than 10 minutes talking and stuff like that. You guys are a very small group, and that's a good thing, because you guys can have more time with us. You have more time with each other and stuff like that. So if there's something that you wish to share, that would be great as well. If you don't have a yoga mat, I don't know what Grace has in place for you, but if you don't have a yoga mat, now is a good time to, I don't know, buy one, get one from a friend, borrow one, and stuff like that. Because sometimes we do these exercises that we just lie down, and we want to be very, very comfortable, but not too comfortable, so we don't fall asleep. And a yoga mat is really, really good for that. And another thing that guides the process is the question is, what makes me happy? And this is a very simple question to ask, but not the simple answer to get, because the answer is, in the beginning, it's very general, but then it becomes very individualistic. What makes me happy is what makes me vibe in high vibration. Okay. To answer the question, what makes me happy, is to answer the question, what does not make me happy? And then when you ask yourself logically, how much time of my awake time do I spend doing the things that do not make me happy? And how much time of my awake time do I do the things that make me happy? And that brings the bigger questions. Is my job making me happy? Is my marriage making me happy? Are my kids making me happy? Are my friends? Am I doing enough with my body that is making me happy, or am I forcing it? And when you get to the thing that make you have fun in life, that's when you get into the high vibration, because you wake up in the morning with light, with light in your eyes. You're passionate about waking up in the morning. But when you don't have a reason to wake up in the morning, then you don't have the energy. You don't want to wake up. And if you live for only 10% of your life, meaning only 10% of the time you're doing things that, I don't know, that you enjoy, prerogatives and stuff like that, then it's not enough. And you will take whatever it is that you're going to take from the initiation, but you won't be able to continue in this lifestyle, because it's a lifestyle that is, in the beginning at least, it's very challenging, it's very humbling, becoming self-aware, and you will understand what gives you that high vibration. And everyone is very different. I found that I need to go back and playing games like I did in high school, computer games. So I bought these, I bought the VR set and the best gaming laptop that I could, and I started gaming, and then I found that art, and then I found that managing, but super managing, like CEO of a small company, makes me feel better. There's so many different moving parts, and I really need to get my mind working all the time. That's what I do in the business world, but also I only do it to companies that help humanity in some way. So I only get myself involved if it's an investment of my time, my energy, or my money. It's only with things like, right now I'm CEOing a company that helps people stop smoking and quit their sugar and carbs addiction on an emotional level, like people that are really addicted, people that are obese and stuff like that. Before that, we did alternative treatments. I had 4 clinics with my partner, like my business partner. And what makes you guys tick? It's not a big question that much. And why don't you do it more? When everybody invites us to go out and have fun, and then we usually say no, and then we do go out and we ask ourselves, why don't we do this more often? And then we go back to not doing it very often. This is the place that you become more aware of that loop. Okay, breaking the cycle of life isn't over. And what would I feel like if I knew that my life is going to end in 6 months? How will I spend my time? How will I spend my resources? With who am I going to spend my time? Am I going to spend time with people that are going to take away a few minutes from that precious 6 months that I have left? It's a question. I know it's like you guys have this saying, tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. But I don't want you guys to think like you have only 6 months left. But I do want you guys to think like, how am I going to use the rest of my life to enjoy more and to meet more like-minded people and to do the things, have a bucket list, have ideas, have a dream, have something that pushes you forward. People that have more finances and money tend to commit more suicide. like the idea, you guys are Americans, you probably know, like the American dream to have, you know, this villa and the sports car and the most beautiful wife and stuff like that. These are the people that get divorced the most, that get heroin and coke addictions the most, that have the highest rate of suicide. And for us, we don't understand why, but it is because they no longer have a dream and ambition. They already did the things that they wanted to think, that they wanted to do. They already reached where they thought they should reach. And then because, according to the spiral dynamics, they're stuck in a specific color, which is called orange, where it's more about identification of your materialistic nature. And then they get stuck. And then they don't find any other dream. Now, there are people that do make it, people that go beyond, people that start donating and thinking about others. And we can see the difference between actors and famous people that are like that and actors and famous people that are like that. So it's because we forgot to dream. Dreaming doesn't mean that we have to make it real. It means that we have a goal, you know. I'm now involved in a project in Costa Rica. We bought 600 dunam. How much is that in acres? That's like 200 acres. And we're building a neighborhood for a lot of like-minded people. So I got I got half an acre myself. Yeah, it's an acre, it's times 4. You guys have such a weird thing with not using the metric system. So I got like place for 2 or 3 houses, which I'm going to have my parents live there when they're retired and stuff like that. But it's a neighborhood, it's a dream. And 5 or 6 already moved there. And they're sending us pictures, you know, of whales and of the road that we're building, and about the trees that we cut down, some of them, and others we save. The ones that we cut, we're going to use in order to create furniture in our houses. So that's a dream. And I can see that dream come true, even though before 6 months ago, it was a dream. And today it's becoming a reality because we vibrate that, we intend that, we see it coming, you know, to fruition. And these are the things that I want you guys to be guided by. When did I stop dreaming? And when did I stop having fun? And how can I have more of that? And you don't have to answer. The answers will come naturally to you. You don't have to worry about them. They just come naturally to you. And the thing is that when the ego is minimized, it's easier for you to confront them, to see the answers, and to understand that maybe mistakes have been done by you in the past, and to forgive yourself for those mistakes so you can pleasantly move forward. All right. So time for some questions, guys. Is there anything that you want to know about the process, about me? You know, we have plenty of time. Today is the first kind of introduction of the first day, and I want to be here, and I want to explain anything that you guys have.
Ray, could you speak about sun gazing for a moment? I've been reading a bit, and I'm just, yeah.
You want me to tell you what I think about it, or you want me to tell you the process itself, what goes on during the process itself?
Yeah, I suppose I have a question about safety, about, is there any potential for damage to eyes by doing sun gazing?
Well, sun gazing is the process of gradually introducing the sun's light during 2 times of the day, during the rising sun and how do you say, the end of the day, you know, the setting sun. So it's only the first hour and the last hour of the day. So it's pretty safe times. It begins by 10 seconds, and every day or every time you experience it, because it's not always possible because of the cloud and stuff, then you go another 10 seconds. So in the first day you did 10 seconds, the second day 20, the third day 30, until you gradually go all the way up to 42 minutes, which takes you consecutively about 6 months to get there. And by the time that you get there, because you're already meditating in front of the sun, you start seeing it's really cool to gaze at the sun. Like you see, it has this amazing aura. Now, I believe that it's like a placebo. It's a belief that you condition yourself to gazing at the sun and receiving the energy of the sun. They have a lot of explanations. They say, you know, the sun rays come into your eyes and your brain shifts it into energy and stuff like that. I think it's exactly what breatharians do. You know, eventually it's the consciousness that creates the energy. and the belief itself is set by the sun. But because it requires something external to me, I stopped practicing it. I mean, I wanted to experience everything that different breatharians experience, and I know a lot of us also started with sun gazing. But eventually, when you do the full 42 minutes, then you kind of recognize that you're just doing a deep meditation and breaths and visualization and stuff like that. And you don't have to set, 1.5 hours every day. It supports the process. It helps. But it also helps that you hug a tree. And it also helps that you bathe in clear water. And it also helps that you meditate and you take deep breaths. So sun gazing is possible. And I know someone that did the whole 6 months and everything, and he stayed like that. He said that he reduced significantly. He reduced about half of his caloric intake. And he said that it happened to him naturally because the guy that started the sun gazing is also went on a whole year, on just water. And that also exists. But I don't like things that I depend on. I like to be free. And that's why I stopped. Sweet.
I have a question. This week I made the saltwater flush, but I couldn't have time to do the enema. Is it possible to do it now after this?
Yes, it's possible to do the enema any day before the dry fast. But once we start dry fasting, you can't, because the body will actually absorb the water, and because it's still a part of your digestive system.
Can I use Epsom salt with the enema?
It's better not. You can do, some people recommend the coffee enema, but because you already did the saltwater flush, which is, you probably noticed that it's quite clearing, it's quite intense for the body. I don't think that you need any more salt. But I did the coffee enemas, they're pretty good. Regular water enemas, also okay.
Okay, thanks.
Enjoy. One time I did a process in Australia, and we were just introducing the whole enema concept. So I explained to them about why it's important to do, and I oversold it. And then I asked, okay, who wants me to go out and buy an enema for him? And everybody raised his hand. So I went into a pharmacy and I asked this guy, where is your enemas? And I come back with like 3, and I say, I need 40 more. I remember the look that he gave me. Like, I said, no, it's a detox retreat, man. You don't understand. I think you guys can unmute yourself, it's like a conversation state.
I did the saltwater flush 2 days ago, Ray, and nothing happened. I drank 3 liters of salty water, and my body just absorbed the water and the salt.
I've heard about cases like that. Never could really explain it. So 3 liters of salt water is still stuck in your system?
Well, I hardly went to the toilet. I didn't have any diarrhea, and I hardly urinated for what I drank. So it was very odd.
It is very odd. Maybe you were missing salts.
Yeah.
Could be. Like some people, when they water fast, and they take electrolytes, because it's not about caloric intake, but it's more about the balance of the electrons and the salts inside every cell. Yannick, you wanted to ask something? You're mute.
Hi.
There you go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
My question is, I have a friend that is interested in following the process, but she is diabetic. And she asked me to ask you, like, is there any way that somebody who's diabetic could go through this?
Sure, they have. And actually it balances the blood sugar level when they do that. She can test herself during the process itself. It's sometimes a little bit harder for them the first couple of days of the detox, but then the body naturally balances the blood sugar level, and they find out that being on a regular fasting diet is healthier than having 3 meals a day and choosing what you eat and stuff like that. So definitely they can do that.
Thanks.
Matt?
Yeah, question here. There were some things that have been said or that I've read about about getting the salt out of your body, and then if you go back to salt, because in the past, this is the absolute first time I've ever done a fast well. I've done long fasts, but I always ended them poorly. and so then I've felt the consequences of, stopping at a pizza joint after 28 days of not eating. And yeah, so what's the whole thing with, because I was wondering if I go through this, and because I'm planning on
Continue.
going as lean as possible, and because I even have a bike trip planned in a couple months, so I want to try to do this along with it. But the whole salt thing, what is the deal with that, and your body not needing that, or what? Because I grew up thinking, oh, I feel this, so I'm low on salt or something like that.
Well, what we notice is that the body tends to generate whatever it is that we usually need. And for people that are, that have done the initiation and the belief is set and stuff like that, they don't stray off the path. They don't take vitamins, and they usually cut the regular medicine in half, and after a month, another half, and then eventually like completely get rid of it. I can't tell you if you have to have salt. I can tell you that there's a thing with salt, because if you start eating salty things right after the initiation, for some people, it brings sort of like blisters, like watery parts, especially in the feet. And that's why we usually recommend to take just a little bit of salt and see how it influences you, or to take, a tomato juice instead of like a carrot juice and stuff like that. But we never had anyone, take electrolytes afterwards because they feel depleted, or mix the type of salts that they give you and stuff like that. No, quite the opposite. We think that the body that is clean has everything in balance.
Mhm.
Like I don't take any supplements. I've never taken, and I tried taking them and took my blood test for 3 months, with and without, and I saw that there's no big difference. There's a lot of money involved in these industries. Yes, I think that's the big difference. But the body really knows how to take everything that it really needs. How? I don't know. Like I don't understand the science behind how the body creates energy out of nothing. I can tell you that if trees can do it, and our DNA is much more elaborated and complex than trees, then we have a dormant engine that knows how to do it, and we just haven't used it in a very, very long time. And what we're doing is we're actually awakening that dormant engine and making it the primary, and the material-based or material energy-based engine, the dormant one. We're just kind of changing the skew, And when this one is activated, then it knows how to balance itself. And aging, decreases a little bit the speed of aging and stuff like that. And we have obviously we're less inclined to disease. And I put the salts with vitamins and with minerals and stuff like that. But most people say that it's something that I need to take that is outside of me. Now, of course, if you have a belief that you need to, go ahead.
Yeah.
Not going to bother you. Bobby?
Has anyone ever experienced muscle cramping during this process?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And what do you do when you're experiencing that?
I enjoy the fluctuations. There's nothing
Maybe
much to
breathe
do.
deeply and breathe with it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually it just goes away after a while, but sometimes it stays for a long time. What you're going to get, some of you, is because your sinuses are going to be cleaned from mucus. Then you get that feeling that there's an echo in your ear, And that also, when you talk, it bothers you because you hear yourself from the inside. That also happens. That's also part of the detox. The muscle thing also happens. Sometimes very, very fast heart rate for a while, and then it goes away. Yeah, it's very normal. Why did it already start? We haven't even started.
No, I was raw vegan for 4 years, and then with social pressure became vegetarian because I was traveling quite a bit. You can't get raw vegan when you travel, very rarely. So the initial process was a breeze for me, but I know I've had that sometimes in the past and wanted to know, is it
Oh,
something
it's very normal. I'm sure that,
Okay.
you know, my sister is a physiotherapist. I can actually ask her why it happens. She also did the process and she knows more about the biological processes that happen during the detox.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
We have Leslie with us. Leslie, cool haircut. So I want to tell you a couple of words about Leslie. You know, before COVID, then all my processes were physical processes. At least 2 or 3 times a year in the States. I had in Thailand, in Costa Rica, in Spain, in Australia a couple of times, in Austria. So we went, this is like the 40th something process. And I'm doing it online, not because I think that it's the best option, but because I want people to be comfortable. And I'm not allowed to go into the States because I'm not vaccinated. But once I become, you know, once they lift that, then I will have physical processes in Sedona. And Leslie is one of my first students, and Leslie has been coming to all of my events as the part that completes me. If I'm the masculine, you know, pushing forward motivator, you know, then Leslie is the prana mama of this type of process. And what she does is she usually works one-on-one with people. And what she does is she knows how to find, I have no idea how she does that, but she finds the traumas inside the body and allows them to move out. Now, Leslie knows how to explain better than I do what she does, even though she's a woman of fewer words. I can just tell you that what's going to happen is that a few people are going to do the one-on-one sessions with her, and then they're going to talk about it in the group, and then everybody will want to do the one-on-one sessions with her. So I'm telling you in advance, this is something very, very special that she does. Whatever it is that she did, the 20-year development that has come to here until this day. And yeah, that's it. I just want to tell you guys that I love Leslie very much, and I highly recommend that you work with her. She's also going to have a session with you guys, like a workshop, in a couple of days. Hey, Les.
Hi, nice to see you. Finally, well, it's been a while.
It has.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but there's like an echo.
Connection, it says connections unstable. Hi guys, nice to meet you all.
Hello.
I'm on satellite and we're cooking here in Spain, so that might be why it's a little bit unstable, because we're literally cooking. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, so as Ray said, I went to, I was one of his first students in 2015. So I'll give you a little bit of my background, if that's all right. So I've been a holistic medicine practitioner for 30 plus years. And I was very interested. I found breatharianism, shall we say, when Jasmine came on the scene, and I was interested, and I felt that that was a possibility. I didn't think she was cuckoo. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I looked at the few people that were available at the time and tried to get with, oh my gosh, I've forgotten his name. Ray, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? Akahi. Because I didn't think.
Okay, he does the 8 days.
8 days, yeah. And I tried for 2 years to get on one of his processes, but he never answered any of my emails. And then I found Ray, and he answered straight away. We spoke, and I went through the process in Holland. And I don't know if, I think my bio has been sent to you, but basically, I was okay. I was very strong emotionally, very strong mentally, not very strong physically. I did, you know, my physical strength went down quite a lot. But I managed to help the other participants, and that was how I realized that this was very necessary for what you're doing. And what you're doing is very important. It's extraordinary, extraordinarily important in the times that we live in. I'm sure you all agree with that. That's why you're doing it. Yeah, you've all got your different reasons. Sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's for health, sometimes it's to lose weight. Some people do this because they just want to lose a large amount of weight. But the majority of the time, it's more conscious, more on a conscious level. And when I have the workshop with you, I'll go into more detail. But about my actual process, but my background, I started with nutritional medicine because I was ill, and that's going back to 1999. That was how I got into holistic medicine, and over the years, trying to help people, that's how I eventually ended on the emotional, working with the emotional body, because the emotional body is the one. If you want to get well, you have to deal with your emotions. I haven't met one person that hasn't had an emotional block of some kind that's slowing them down, giving them problems, not just in their day-to-day life, but like mental problems, physical problems, diseases, and it always comes down to the emotions that you're holding that you're not aware of. I mean, sometimes we know what we have an emotional block, but a lot of it is unknown because it's suppressed very well on purpose, which I go into in the workshop, by the body, so you can function. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to function. And a lot is inherited. So at the point of conception, we inherit what our parents haven't resolved. Now, we don't inherit all of them. So if you've got 2 siblings or 3 siblings or 5, each of you will have inherited a little bit for it to be healed for the ancestral line, and also for the future generations. So it's not passed on. And I found in every family, there's always a healer. There's always one in every family that takes this on more than the others. And they're the ones that want to heal themselves. And by doing that, they're actually vibrationally, it's all about vibration. So vibrationally, they're healing everybody else in their family. Does that make sense to you guys? Anyone it doesn't make sense to? Any questions at this point? Okay, so I don't tell anybody how I work. And the reason for that is because your ego is a slippery eel, and it can decide, oh, I already know about that. And then you lose the opportunity, because it's a very simple process, but it's the way it's put together that makes it powerful. So during the process, you can either tell me what you want to work on, or I will find out what your body wants to release first, what it wants to work on. And then I will teach you 2 techniques which you will use while I'm working. And I'm working in your energy field, in your emotional, the astral realm, basically, your emotional body, with your permission. And then we transmute that energy. You can't let these things go, because then they're not you. You created them, or somebody created it before you, but it's not you. It's a separate entity now, but it's affecting your life is seen through that lens to protect you, essentially, to keep you safe, or to keep your physical body safe. So we find out what's going on, and we transmute it into peace. So the end result is peace. And then you have, and it's palpable, you absolutely feel it. And then you have 2 techniques that you can use for yourself forever, so that nothing ever gets stuck again. So as life unfolds, you've got the techniques there to use, transmute whatever it is, and come back to peace, because it's all about our natural state is peace. That's our natural state. But we don't know what that feels like. I mean, some people who are really meditated for years, and they think that they're going to peace, and once they've done this, they say, oh, no, this is different. Okay, So that's how I work. Well, that's as much as I'm going to tell you about how I work. And it takes about an hour. If somebody's been working on themselves a lot already, it could be 40 minutes. The session I'll go on as long as is required. So some people can go an hour and a half. Occasionally, very occasionally, I get someone with 2 hours because it's a really strong, deep emotion. And then you have my support after for as long as you need it. That's all in the price. So it isn't just a session and then I leave you, because I want you to move into peace. I want you to know how to move into peace. Because when we're in peace, what are we resonating?
So, sorry, Alan. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I understood 40% at most of what you have said. The audio is really bad. I don't know if you can improve your microphone or something, because it's very difficult for me to understand.
I'll try
Sorry.
and set of headphones.
Thanks.
What would you like me to go over again? A moment. Is that better? Is that better?
Maybe you can keep talking. Can you talk a little bit?
Yeah. What would you like me to go over again?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's better.
Is it better?
Yeah, I think it's better.
What would you like me to go over again?
How about a summary of everything that you talked about? Some of it cut out, some of it was not clear, and I believe that's what he's talking about.
Okay,
Would
so the emotions that we don't, the issues in life that we don't resolve will get stuck in your body and in your energy field. You hear that?
Okay.
So what I do is I find the emotions that your body, not you, your body wants to transmute. I teach you 2 techniques that you use, and I'm working in your energy field at the same time. The 2 things together are very powerful. We find the emotion, we transmute it into peace. Basically, that's it. Once you know what to do, you can use those techniques for the rest of your life to make sure that nothing ever gets stuck again. So sometimes it's 1 session only. That's all that somebody requires, especially if you've already done a lot of work at the end, or if they're a dancer, or if they do a lot of yoga, or if you do something that's using your body, it happens quite quickly. Occasionally, you might need another session. Occasionally. So I offer, you'll see in my write-up, I do offer 3 sessions in 1 block for those who think they might need more. If it's a very traumatic event, sometimes you might need a little bit more work. Once it's gone, it's gone. Once it's gone, that's it, it's gone. You cannot get upset about it again. You know something's happened, you remember, sometimes very often you forget the details, but you know, like I remember I got divorced, I remember it wasn't very nice. But when it happened for 5 years, I could have told you verbatim what happened. We did this and then that, and then that, verbatim. For 5 years, I did that. I could do that. Once I transmuted it, no, go. And then that opens you up. You're in a state of peace, and then you're more open to kindness, compassion, you know, the anger and or the guilt or the resentment or the bitterness isn't getting in the way. The charge isn't getting in the way of you being you, the best you can be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so this teaching you're saying is part of the schedule during this week?
I'm not teaching ERA on the workshop, we'll be doing an emotion workshop. So we'll go through how emotions, where they come from, how they operate in your life, etc. That's the workshop. But the actual learning era is a one-on-one with me. It can't be done in a group.
Okay.
It has to be one-on-one. I can't do it in a group. And once you've had a session with me, you'll understand why.
Okay, thanks. The audio hasn't improved so much. I think it's your microphone. It's very hard for me to understand.
She has a problem with technology. Technology starts breaking down next to her.
Really, it's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah.
Maybe it's the microphone, or who knows.
No, I think Ray's right to me, but it is very hot here. The satellite probably isn't working very well.
Because it's hard, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about satellite and technology.
Okay.
Or I'll just buy you a better microphone next time.
It works well. When I do lots of sessions online, it's usually all right.
But I can hear them better. So I assume that it's something in the, in the input.
Yeah. Yeah. So has anybody got any questions?
Yes, I do have a question.
Me too, afterwards.
Okay.
Because
Yannick. Hi, Yannick.
I have to agree there was a bit of distortion, but I think I got the gist of most of what you're saying. I am wondering, I need a bit of context. You're saying that you have techniques that can help us free from our pain inside our body. But in what context are you offering those techniques? Is it part of the process? Is it something, I understand this is something that's one-on-one with you? Is that, are we talking extra charges?
Yes.
And okay, so this is like an extracurricular aspect that is being offered, but is not as such part of the process, correct?
Well,
right.
it
supports,
sorry.
Let me third person this. Well, the reason that we have like Leslie and Grace also offers additional things is because I believe that they support the initiation themselves. Now, in processes that I had more people, then I offered 50% that I will pay Leslie if you guys feel like you can't afford her session, because I believe that it really, really helps. So if that is the thing, I wouldn't miss it just because it's an additional cost, and if it happens, then tell Leslie and she will charge me. I don't even need to know who it is and stuff like that. But yeah, it's an additional cost because it takes, her time and stuff, and I don't pay her for just coming with me to all the processes or the participants pay for her time.
It's important, it's important because when you're doing the process, your body will naturally bring up emotions. And sometimes it can be a lot. I mean, anyone who's done, any of you that have done fasting will understand that. It can be a very traumatic in some cases. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Yeah. So what I teach you, what we do is you're not just releasing, like I said, you can't release something that's not you. You created it, but it's no longer you. It's a separate entity, your emotion, and it has an agenda, and the agenda is to keep you safe. So whenever something that is similar happens in your life, your emotions are going to kick off, your ego is going to kick off. So what we do is we transmute, we literally transmute it, and then we transmute it into peace. And when you are resonating peace, you emanate peace. And when you emanate peace, you attract peace. You all know, frequency and vibration, I'm sure. So it's more than just transmuting something that's stuck. You actually become peace and you're able to maintain it. Now, obviously, life goes on and things are still going to happen that are very upsetting, like what's happening in the world now. But with ERA, you have something that you can use to bring yourself back to peace no matter what is going on. So you become the eye of the storm, not the storm. Any questions?
How long is a regular session usually?
Sorry, who's asking that?
I am.
Yannick.
I just want to
Yannick.
know how long is a session normally?
On-
I think I
on
heard you say
average,
an hour and a half.
an
Did I hear
hour.
right?
Yeah, no, on average it's an hour. But if you're in the session, I don't stop. I'll just carry on until we're finished.
Does it come with homeworks and stuff we have to do on our own?
Yes, but when I say yes, you're just going to use the technique, and then I'm available anytime. You can WhatsApp me after a session. I don't put an end to it, you know, because I want you to maintain peace. Once you move into peace, I want you to maintain it. So I support you for as long as it takes. And there's no extra charge for that. That's part of the package.
What you should do is you wait until the first victim goes to Leslie, and then you
Victim.
ask and interrogate him in the sharing circle, and then you make up your mind.
It'll take one. This is what normally happens in I'll get 1 or 2 people, 3, possibly 5, will sign up for a session with me, and then the next day is a big queue. It's not difficult. What we're going to do is not difficult.
So
I
you
have another
recommend
question.
this after the process
No,
No,
during the
during.
process.
or during the
process.
process? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
That
Any
was my
Any more
question.
questions?
Yes. What you're offering, is that something that is recommended that we would do during the process? I think we just touched on that just now, but should
Yeah.
we wait after?
No,
Or would it be appropriate to do, say, in the middle of the dry fast? Or
Yeah.
is this something that is for later?
It's better for you to do it during the process. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this call, so that I can support you during the process. If you feel that you want to wait till you're in the dry fast, that's fine. If you want to do that, for some people it's a little bit more difficult during the dry fast because when all the moisture is leaving your body, it's harder for the energy to move through. Because liquid water, the charge moves through the water more efficiently. It still happens. It still can happen. Fine, no problem. But for some people, it can be a little bit more difficult during the dry fast. But many people have done it during the dry fast. Perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Any
Any
more
more questions with me? Before I let
Yes,
you have your break and give you some homework in between before the session with Grace. Yeah?
Ray, you said you had a
you-
question for me. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I just wanted you, maybe later on, if you can
Okay.
join one of the sharing circles, I would love you to give a little bit more about, you know, maybe the difficulties that you went through after the initiation or the challenges that you
Yeah.
had, but not in the
Yeah.
first day. Maybe, you know, in the.
No. You just let me know.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Thanks.
Yes, Yannick, sorry. Did you want to ask me a question?
It's a question to Ray, because you touched on medication earlier and you said, oh, you can cut your medication in half. And because I'm a healthcare professional, a lot of people around that know what I am going through with you in the process have asked me, should I stop taking my medication or should I simply continue taking medication during the process? It's a gray area and I can hear a lot of concern. What are your recommendations for somebody who has to take a pill every day?
Well, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if it's critical for his condition and stuff like that. I can tell you that during the dry fast itself, then 99% of the people, we asked them to stop taking that specific pill, and it wasn't that it wasn't a problem for them. It appears that the body goes into like this cleansing state and or heightened awareness state where everything kind of slows down. But again, I can't really say don't take it because I'm not a medical profession. However, I can tell you that for many different illnesses or people that are taking pills regularly after the process and after that time that the body balances itself out weight-wise and energy-wise, then they can start reducing. I'm not telling them reduce immediately, or I'm just saying take half and see what happens for a month. And then after a month, maybe reduce a little bit more. And then eventually a lot of them just come back and say, you know something, I just stopped. If it's for lower blood pressure pills, if it's multivitamins, if it's like all this type of stuff, many people just eventually stopped. But again,
type 2 diabetes,
for example.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Ray, we know that you are not doctor, but if we ask a regular doctor about those things, they're gonna say that we are crazy about doing this process and stop drinking and so forth. So it's important your answer about this.
Well, you saw.
I don't take anything, but
sorry, I did. I don't know if you saw. I volunteered to have an experiment on TV like 7 years ago, and there was a doctor there, and I had to give blood tests every day. And I was doing an initiation. I was just doing 8 days with no drinking and no eating. And I was surrounded by cameras, and they watched me all the time, and they took blood every day. And the doctor there, he declared many things in the beginning. He said that the electrolytes are going to be missing. He said that after 4 days, I'm going to be taken to the hospital by force and be dehydrated and won't be able to walk. And after 3 days, then the producer of the show came, and the blood tests came back, and the doctor said, like, everything is exactly the same. Nothing has changed at all. And then the producer said, I told him I have no idea how this works. I just expected that everything will be okay. And the producer asked him, so what do you think about it? And he just said, medical science does not know how to explain what is going on here. We do know, that, certain people, and I said, no, not certain people. It's not about me. Everybody can eventually do this, but you just have to go through a proper initiation and the body will cleanse itself. So I can tell you that I've talked to many doctors. Most of them don't know that fasting is health, like it was healthy in the past, and they think that you should eat 5 small meals every day. Like they do not teach. I can take you all the way to the 1900s and Rockefeller and how the hospitals were made and medical doctors and how they pushed away the alternative medicine and the conspiracies and the money involved. But I can tell you that what they teach is to sell medicine. They do not teach how to prevent disease, okay, like they do in China, for example. So the doctors simply don't know because they tell them that you're the best and you're the smartest and you're healing the world. I'm not saying that all medicine is bad. I'm just saying that this is it's an industry that produces a lot of money. And once you have something that produces a lot of money, then they don't want to solve sickness, right? They don't want to prevent sickness. They want to produce more money. So it's not about solving. It's about extending.
And they also don't know how to detoxify the body. It's amazing. But they are experts toxifying the body with their pills.
That's right. Especially in the liver. That's where all the, most of the pills get stuck because the body doesn't know how to deal with the chemicals. And then the liver gets.
Most medical hospitals train the doctor, or the universities train the doctors for half a day in nutrition.
That's it. Like 7 years of studying, and this is the diet. This is carbs, and this is fat, and this is what you should recommend to everybody. Eat more fruits, and that's it. Nobody talks to you about how much you eat, when you eat. Nobody talks to you about what happens in between meals. Nobody tells you that breakfast, the word breakfast comes from break fast. You're breaking the night's fast because your body wants to do that fast, Yeah.
Leslie, how much is your service?
It's £130 per session, but it isn't just the session. I am there with you for as long as it takes. Via WhatsApp usually. So immediately after a session, I mean, whilst you're doing the you do have your phones, don't you?
They do.
Yeah, okay. So immediately after you've had a session, I'll give it you a day or two, because it can take 2 to 5 days for a charge, what I call charge, to move out of your body and your energy system. So I will get in touch with you in a couple of days. I'll say, how are you? And then you can text me back, or you can leave me a voice message, and I will respond back with a text message or a voice message. Or if I feel, and it's all about feeling in me, and I'm very much into feeling the energy. If I feel I want to have a chat with you, I'll say, let's have a chat. So then we'll have a chat, 10, 15 minutes. And if there's something bubbling up, I'll help you to just disperse that quickly. Because it's like your body will remember me.
I'll tell you how it feels like. Like I did a couple of sessions with Leslie, and usually I'm too proud to admit that, you know, something is stuck in my body. But I know that water has a memory, and, you know, if we're going through an issue in our life, then the body that takes the water in that time, then the memory gets stuck. You feel something, she recognizes that sensation and connects it with something that happened at a particular time. And you feel that, you know, when you remember a trauma, like getting heartbroken or getting bullied or going through a bad experience, and after it, you remember, but you do not have the weight of the emotions with you. So if it was like a heartbreak, then you remember that incident, but suddenly you don't feel that, you know, that
You can't get upset.
yeah, exactly. It's like
You just
can't get upset about it. You're sort of like objectively looking at it from a different angle. And this is one of the things that make it very unique.
And often people start laughing. Because I think you get upset and they start laughing because they can't. I don't care anymore. It's very light feeling. Often I'll say care enough not to care.
Now,
In a nice way.
Okay. I understood that half of Wednesday was silence and all of Friday was silence. Is that correct?
Yes, let me make it sure.
But you can,
So,
yeah, but you can, sorry, you're talking about having sessions.
yeah, you can do the sessions with Leslie and with Grace in the silent days as well. I don't mind.
Okay.
So it's
That's
half a
my
day.
question.
That's right. Half a day for you guys. It's like Central Time. It will be like from 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and almost a full day on Friday. We have just one short session with me of Falun Dafa, and then that's like a full day of silence. So you can use those times, no problem.
Okay, so on the days, excuse me, on the days of silence, we will still have sessions with you. Will we still have the sharing circle with Grace?
No.
Okay.
Those days, you know, they have 1.5, absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Just
How-
one
can I
short
ask a
session with me
question?
in your morning. That's it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? How many of you have children?
That you know of.
Yeah. Okay. So when you have a session and you transmute something, you're taking it out of their system as well, because they will have downloaded something from you that hasn't been resolved. Absolutely. And then you'll see over the days and the weeks, you'll start to see subtle changes in your children, in your siblings, in your parents if they're still alive, because, you know, it's connected from the mother or it's come down to the father. You start to see evidence of in their behavior and how they relate to you and how they relate to the world generally. It's quite amazing. You don't have to say anything. You don't go say, I did that, you know, I transmuted, I did that. It's just watching, and it's confirmation for you that you were the catalyst to healing that whatever it was for your ancestors or from everything. And that's a big, I think that's a big lesson for all of us when we realize how connected we are, that we're really literally finally connected on a molecular, but kind of in the air that we breathe, even energetically on the air that we breathe. But I'll go into in the workshop, I'll go into that in more detail with you. Okay, so you have a little understanding of how emotions work. Okay. Can I help with anything else?
Thank you, Leslie.
Oh, you're welcome. Lovely to meet you all. Sorry about the sound. I'll see what I can do, make sure that it's, when we have sessions, that it's clear. Enjoy the process. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ray, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Can I add some honey to my juices today, or is it?
Today is not a problem, but starting tomorrow, nothing that is in addition, you know? You can have, if you want, you can have coconut water, which is kind of like water with a little bit sweet, but we don't add sugar, honey, or anything. You can have, you know, leaf-based tea, that is as well. You cannot have coffee, but in your life as a breatharian, you can have whatever liquid that you want. If it's wine or coffee, you will notice that you will be influenced by anything more radically. Like if it's alcohol, then you know your stomach is kind of empty. If it's coffee, then you get more energized from the coffee. So you will learn to tune or dilute it accordingly.
Tomorrow, can I prepare coconut milk using the meat of the coconut and also the water of the coconut?
Yeah, as long as it's watery and it's not fibery, you know, it's not like thick.
Oh, so I can't use the meat to blend the meat of the coconut.
If eventually you take it through a filter and it becomes watery, like juicy, and doesn't have any thickness in it, then yes. But if not, like for example, you can't juice a mango, or you can't really juice a banana. You can smoothie it because of the fiber. So if you have things that are you can't take only the water out of them, then it's not really juice.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions before we finish the session? Are you guys tired? Is it okay? We've been talking for quite a long time. Okay.
So
good.
sorry, smoothies are okay today, but not
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Smoothies are fine today. Fruit is fine today. Not vegetables or anything that's heavy. For example, you can have a banana, you can have a mango, you can have lychee and stuff like that. Not anything heavy. And from tomorrow or from tonight, you stop eating physical food and you move to juice. And the day after is water. And then we start the dry fast. It's always from night when we go to sleep until the next day. So for example, today you can eat until you go to sleep. And then tomorrow you wake up, it's just juices. If you want, you don't have to have anything in the morning. You can drink your juice in the noon. You can play around with it. And I think, Christina, you missed the beginning of the talk. So I'm just going to upload the recording. Like it takes about half an hour to upload, and you can see the first hour because we talked about guidelines and recommendations and stuff.
Thank you.
You said that we can't drink vegetables today because I have just drunk a juice with carrot and betabel is well, I don't know betabel.
It's not too bad. It's just a little bit heavier. Fruits, you know, if we're looking at the difference between fruits and vegetables, think about the fruits that are coming from a tree, like on a spiritual level, the tree provides that fruits, unlike the vegetables that are kind of like being torn from the ground. So it's a little bit different. And this is why most animals, they eat more fruits than they do vegetables. And this is actually why you have fruitarians, but you don't have vegetarians, you know, like people who only have vegetables. Yeah, more fruitarians and stuff like that. They're high quality. The water inside them is water that has more energy. It's better than regular water for you. The water that is inside of the fruit itself. So it's not bad, but if you can try to go more towards fruits, it's better.
Okay, because yesterday Grace sent us a list with some vegetables, also broccoli and
I know.
something.
This is my recommendation because I have a lot of fire energy, and usually the thing that cools fire energy people down is fruits. And most people, like in our origin, we ate more fruits than we did anything else. And then we started hunting, and then we started, you know, next to rivers, and we ate fish and stuff like that. But for example, monkeys, they eat fruits. Gorillas, they're fucking gorillas, and they eat fruit, you know? So think about what a fruit can actually have inside of it, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so homework. There's a video that I want you guys to see. I'm going to send you the link. The link it's in your notebook, but I'm going to send it to your emails now. Okay, it's called In the Beginning There Was Light. Okay, it's a documentary. It's a download, I think, from it's a $5 payment Vimeo. Okay, because I know the producer himself, but there's no way to download it in English. But this is dubbed. It was originally in German, and you buy it on Vimeo for $5 for 24 hours. It's just open. And then I want you guys to watch. I'll send you two of the videos that I did about spiral dynamics. Now, these are the preparation videos for the color that you're going to be. So it's sort of like understanding where we came from as a society and where most people are right now. And you can even take it to the level of how I can communicate better with them and what's the difference between me and them and why do I have so many arguments with them, for example. Like, why do I feel so different in society? So these are the things that you guys can do. You have a couple of hours. I'm going to share with you my screen so you can just make sure that you know that the right timing is. Right, so this is you guys right here. USA West, Central Time, USA East. We have Australia for Grace, Israel for me. And you guys are meeting, this is the first day. You guys are meeting Grace right here. So that means for West, it will be 5. For Central Time, it's 7. And EDT, it's 8 o'clock. That's the sharing circle. So you have about 3 hours. And I'm going to send you guys to your email the link to the video itself. All right. And I'm going to meet you guys tomorrow morning. I'm going to teach you a little bit exercises. And afterwards, we're going to do the manifestation workshop. The first manifestation workshop, it's actually a double. It's 1 of 5 hours together. So this is the first part of it, and the second part will be a day after. So enjoy, rest, think about the things that we discussed. If you want to listen to the beginning of this talk again, then I'm going to send you guys the link as well. Grace is probably going to share the document with you, and the document is pretty well organized with homework and what you did today and what you're going to do and stuff like that. And just think about the things that we talked about, what you want to get out of the process, especially. And be comfortable with consulting your higher guidance, just asking and not expecting to hear anything back, just echoing it out into the world and see what happens. All right. Beautiful to see you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.